You know it's this. Take a perk and a talk of that shit. Money swallowing like sis. Did it perfect in the kid. Got a billion who sang on my head. Look up the better. Put on the road I just spent. I know we got $1 million. The devil that shit ain't not cheaper again.
Hello and welcome back, fellow anime lovers, to MangaMuse. I am delighted to have you join us once again in the world of fanfiction and fantasy. This is the second part of What If Naruto Meets Clonehigh. Special note, this fanfic is written and a masterpiece of FANFICTION on FANFICTIONnet. Do check and support the author too. Now smash the like, share and subscribe button for more. Also press the bell icon so that you never miss such great parts. Thanks for the introduction. Now let's dive into the world. With Naruto. Naruto was driving his Vespa to school, and as he parked by the school garden he noticed Joan and Gandhi nearby watching Abe, who was talking to Cleo. "Morning sis." "Morning Gandhi," Naruto said, greeting his friends as he got off his Vespa. "MMPH," Gandhi greeted as he stuffed pencils in his mouth. "If you choke I'm using my guitar bud," Naruto said to Gandhi before he looked at Joan, who was still watching Abe and Cleo. "So how's your moron safari going? Has he attracted his preferred mate yet?" he asked while doing an Australian accent. "You're a moron," Joan said as she looked at Naruto with an annoyed look at his joke. "I may be a moron, but if I had a crush on someone I would at least say something instead of doing this bad teen drama CRP, Naruto said with a smile as he knew Joan was just venting. "I'll remember that." "Also Gandhi is choking," Joan said as she pointed behind Naruto at Gandhi, who was choking on all the pencils in his mouth. "Ah hell. Hold on buddy, I got you." Naruto yelled as he grabbed his guitar and ran over to his friend before he smacked him in the back, causing him to spit all the pencils out, sending them all flying and embedding themselves in the wall nearby. Joan shook her head at this before she paused. "You hear that?" she asked. "The sound of me hacking up a lung." Gandhi groaned out as he held his stomach. "You're welcome," Naruto said with a smile as he put his guitar back in its holster on his back. "Finally. It's the voices." Joan yelled with a happy smile. Sis, if you're hearing voices the quack has meds for that I can probably steal for you," Naruto said as he looked at Joan with a look of concern. "If he has that, doesn't that mean he needs it?" Gandhi asked as he caught his breath after spitting up all the pencils. "Probably," Naruto said as he waved his hands dismissively before the school bell went off. Later. After class, Naruto was leaving school and looking for Joan to check on her, seeing as Gandhi was in the principal's office and Abe was helping Cleo get her kissing booth ready for the awareness fair. "Hey Alexander, have you seen Joan?" Naruto called out to a fellow clone who was leaving shop class who was wearing a toga. "Oh indeed I did. I believe she said she was heading to St. Paul's mattress discounter, said something about the word of the Lord leading her there," Alexander said to Naruto with a nod before he walked by Naruto. Naruto raised an eyebrow at this, finding this odd before he ran to his Vespa as he had a bad feeling, as hearing voices was never a good sign. Later. Naruto parked in front of the mattresses store, and as he walked towards the front door of the storage he paused as he heard what sounded like Joan yelling. "Jesus saves, and so will we on California Kings all weekend long. If you can find a better price, God will give you a frame for free." Joan was heard yelling. Naruto paused at this as several people were quickly leaving the store before he entered and saw Joan talking to random people with a crazed look on her face. "I feel it's firm, but not too firm, just like the Lord," Joan yelled with a smile on her face as she pushed on a mattresses. "Okawaye, I didn't think out of everyone in my friend group it would be you going nuts. My money was on me after the quick drove me to madness," Naruto said as he approached Joan. "Naruto. The word of the Lord is talking to me," Joan yelled as she turned to look at him. "And he told you to come to a mattresses store and give a sales pitch?" Naruto asked with a raised eyebrow. "I'm just speaking the word of the Lord. He's been telling me this all day." Jayan yelled out loudly. What else has he been saying?" Naruto asked as he pushed Joan out of the store so they could talk without being stared at by the crowd of people watching them. "He's been singing ballads to me in between all of the great savings on mattresses, praise the Lord." Joan yelled as she threw her arms in the air. Naruto raised an eyebrow at this before he spotted what looked like a radio camper van driving by, but what stuck out to him was the cross on its sides and hood. Joan, did these voices start after Gandhi took your retainer and did his impression of you? He asked as he looked at Joan. I think so. Why, hey. Joan was saying before Naruto grabbed her mouth and fired it open, showing her wire-covered mouth. Save this weekend only on mattresses at the St. Paul's. Praise the Lord, a male voice was heard yelling from Joan's mouth. Joan's eyes widened at this while Naruto let her mouth go. I think you owe Gandhi a hit off your taser, sis, Naruto said with a snicker as he had to admit this was pretty funny and one for the memory album. Yeah, I think I do. You won't tell anyone about this, right? Joan asked as she calmed herself now that she knew she wasn't hearing voices like she thought she was. Nah, though I do reserve the right to crack jokes about you leading the way to help us poor souls save on high-quality mattresses, Naruto said with a smile. Joan groaned at this as she slapped her forehead while Naruto laughed as they both left the parking lot of the mattress store. Later at the grassy knoll. Naruto and Joan were hanging out at the grassy knoll after what had happened at the mattress store, and while Naruto was eating a bowl of ramen, Joan was watching Abe, who was sitting with Cleo in the popular section. Naruto swallowed his food and sighed happily before he noticed Joan glaring at Cleo, causing him to sigh. Sis, while I find this whole love me Abe thing funny and coming up with jokes with Gandhi is a highlight of my life, maybe you should I don't know actually tell Abe instead of doing this typical bad romance CRP, he asked. Joan looked away from Cleo and Abe and looked at Naruto with an annoyed look. You and Gandhi make jokes? She asked with a hard tone. Hey bro. How you doing? Naruto yelled after sweating a bit under Joan's glare, but thankfully he spotted Gandhi running into the restaurant. Bro. You have to help me. The adults want to lock me up. Gandhi yelled as he hid under Naruto and Joan's table. What did you do? Joan asked with a flat tone as she knew, knowing Gandhi, he most likely did something to piss everyone off. Did they find out about that prank we pulled on the old folks' home with the laxative-laced cookies? Naruto asked curiously. You what? Joan asked with a raised eyebrow at this. No. They want to lock me up 'cause I have ADD and think I'm dangerous. Gandhi yelled as he poked his head out from under the table. Oh, they finally figured out what was wrong with you. Huh, I figured you were dropped while in your test tube, Joan said with a flat tone as she drank her soda. Oh, go write a poem about Abe and you, Herc. Gandhi was yelling before Joan grabbed him by his neck. You read my diary. Joan yelled as she shook Gandhi a bit. Kill Gandhi later, sis, follow me, he said as he got up from the table. What are you gonna do, bro? Gandhi asked as Joan let him go. The quack mentioned a parent-teacher meeting at the school which is happening tonight. We're gonna crash it and correct them, Naruto said. With a smile. You're gonna end up in solitary again, Joan said with a sigh at this as she knew how Naruto went over the top when it came to helping his friends. Good, I could use a holiday, Naruto said with a smile as he jaded for the door. Gandhi laughed at this as he followed but stopped as he spotted Abe. Hey bro, come on. I need as many people in my corner as I can get, he yelled at his friend. Abe looked at Gandhi, then at Cleo, who was giving him an annoyed look. Abe, do you have a celibacy wish? Cleo asked with a firm tone. Look Gandhi, I'm sure Naruto can handle this. You got this right, bro. Abe said as he looked at Naruto, who was giving him a look of disapproval. Naruto shook his head at this. Sure bud, no problem, just do me a favor and be sure to take plenty of antibiotics while you're playing with your new friend, Naruto said with a condescending tone before he walked out of the restaurant. Joan snorted, stiffening her laughter at this while her and Gandhi followed Naruto out of the restaurant. Cleo glared at Naruto as he left while Abe groaned at this. Later at the school auditorium. Inside the school auditorium, a crowd of angry parents were yelling at Scudworth and Mr. B, who were at the podium trying to keep everyone calm. Listen people, I have a solution: therapeutic isolation. Scudworth yelled into his microphone so everyone could hear him. This got murmurs of agreement from the crowd of parents. Let's lock him up like a diabetic, a balding overweight man with a heart tattoo on his shoulder yelled. This was Carl JFK's adopted dad. I move that we form a angry mob, just a bunch of angry men's running. The man next to Carl said this was Wally, Carl's lover and JFK's other adopted father. This got cheers from Tej crowd of angry parents. You all do realize Gandhi is one of Naruto's best friends, and if you do this it's gonna be like the ramen shortage of 99 Wesley, Mr. B said using a megaphone so everyone could hear him. This got silence as the crowd of parents all went quiet and some of them went pale as they all started to remember that year and started to shake. Okay, we need a new plan before my adopted son finds out about this, Scudworth said as he quickly composed himself. Suddenly the door to the room was kicked open and Naruto stomped into the room. Too late. What's the matter? Afraid to look a disease in the face? Naruto shouted out loudly as he looked at all the parents who all screamed at seeing the passed-off blonde. Now my boy, let's calm down and, Scud was saying before he was cut off. Save it, you quack. As for you all, look at it. It's got ADD, doesn't it? Naruto shouted as he held out Gandhi in his hands by his head for everyone to see. What's up? Gandhi yelled as he smiled and waved at everyone with a smile before the crowd ran, not wanting to test Naruto. You look at it. Naruto shouted as he shoved Gandhi in a part of the crowd's face. Hi, Gandhi said with a smile as the parents before they too ran off screaming. Look at it. Look at it. Look at it. I want all of you to look at it. Naruto screamed like a madman as he shoved Gandhi in the parents' faces, causing them to scream in terror as he was getting louder and louder. He's not doing anything but yelling, Scudworth said with a bewildered look on his face. I believe what he's doing is making them fear him, retaliating if they hurt his friend, Mr. B said as Naruto continued to shout at the crowd of parents. Ah ha! A psychological attack. I'm so proud. Scudworth said with a smile. Now do you morons still want to lock my bro Gandhi up? Naruto shouted as he glared at the crowd. No, one of the parents shouted in fear. God, just make it stop, one of the parents yelled. Good. Now get the F out. Naruto shouted as he pointed at the open doors out of the auditorium. The parents didn't need telling twice as they all booked it out of the auditorium, almost running over each other as they made their way out. Ah, that was fun. Hey sis, you get the pictures? Naruto asked as he put Gandhi down and looked at the door. Yup, this is another one for the photo album, Joan said as she walked into the room holding a camera. Naruto smiled at this before he looked at Scudworth. As for you quack, I heard it was your idea to lock my buddy up, he said with an unsettling grin as he grabbed his guitar off his holster. Scudworth looked at Naruto for a few seconds before he took off running, jumping out a closed window, breaking it. Yeah, that's what I thought, Naruto said with a scoff as he let go of his guitar. Thanks for the save bro, Gandhi said with a sigh of relief. No problem buddy, also watch your back, Joan has her taser, Naruto said as he edged away from his friend. Oh hey Joan, sorry about your diary, gah. Gandhi was saying as he turned to look at Jayan, but it was too late as Joan was already zapping him. You ruined my retainer, so that's 3 hits before we're square, Joan said before she hit Gandhi again with another zap, making him yell out in pain. Ah, normalcy, Naruto said with a smile as he watched this happen. The next day. It was the day of the awareness fair and Naruto was arriving at the fair on his Vespa to drop off the music for Gandhi's dance troupe, seeing as he wasn't allowed to perform this year after what he pulled with Abe's campaign for school president. Hey sis, how's the good word of the Lord? Naruto asked with a smile as he got off his Vespa and spotted Joan leaning against a tree. Haha, what are you doing here? Joan asked with a flat tone. I'm dropping off some music for the dance troupe's performance. Just cause the quack has me banned from performing for now doesn't mean I can't help my bro Gandhi out, Naruto said as he pulled a CD case out of his backpack. Remind me again how you're able to record your own music? Joan said, raising an eyebrow at this. Mr. B helped me convert the garage into a makeshift studio after I got permission from the quack, Naruto said as he looked around the fair. So he gave in to avoid a tantrum like you pulled last night at the parents' meeting? Joan asked with a chuckle, remembering what happened yesterday. Hey, it ended without a lawsuit. I think that's a good day for me, don't you think? Naruto asked with a light smirk. True, Joan said as she nodded at this before she noticed Abe approaching the fair with an older man with brown hair and a mustache. Looks like Abe is here to try and make up for what he pulled yesterday with Gandhi, she said with a smile as she recognized the man with her crush. Oh good, I can cancel the prank I had planned. Is that Tom Green? Naruto was saying with a smile before he spotted who was with Abe, and suddenly his tone did a complete reversal. Looks like it. You want an autograph? Joan asked curiously. The hell I do. I want my money and time from Freddy got fingered back. Naruto yelled as he stomped his way towards the celebrity. Oh geez, Joan said with a wince as she remembered how bad that movie was and how pissed Naruto was when they all went to see it. Hey Green. Let me show you something. Naruto yelled loudly as he grabbed his guitar off his holster as he approached the actor. Oh hello there young man, why do you have whisker marks? Wanna shave a dog? I'll wook. I'm an albatross. Tom Green said with a kind smile before he started squawking like a bird. This made Naruto pause in surprise before he looked at Abe. What's his deal? He asked. He's got ADD and I asked him to talk to everyone about how they were treating Gandhi, Abe said with a sheepish look as he rubbed the back of his neck. Indeed, ADD is not something you can catch people, it's something you should try to plastic bag. Plastic bag. Plastic bag. Tom Green was saying to everyone watching before he noticed a plastic bag blowing by in the wind and ran off to go chase it. Well, that happened, Joan said with a flat tone. Sorry about that, I was hoping he could help Gandhi, Abe said to his friend. It's fine bro, everyone is treating me better now thanks to Naruto pointing out that I have been this way for years and haven't hurt anyone, so they should, and I quote, get the hell over it, Gandhi said with a smile as he jerked a thumb at Naruto who was chasing Tom Green with his guitar. Oi. I want my ticket money back. Your movie sucked but. Naruto yelled as he chased the actor who was still chasing a plastic bag. Abe, Gandhi and Joan shook their heads at this as they watched their friend chase the actor in his ill-gotten attempt to get his money back. A few days later. The student body was out at the track field watching the big cross-country meet. Naruto, Joan and Gandhi were in the stands with the other students watching since Abe was part of the team along with JFK while Cleo was a cheerleader. Wow, I have never seen so few fans at a cross-country meet, Gandhi said as he looked around at the full crowd of students in the stand. Naruto and Joan ignited this bad joke from Gandhi as they watched Abe, who was lagging behind the others a bit in the race. Come on Abe. Get the lead out. Naruto shouted out loud so everyone could hear. Cleo, who was near where they were sitting in her cheerleader outfit, turned to look at him with an annoyed look at this. Can't you go be annoying somewhere else, Uzumaki? She asked as she felt a headache coming on from Naruto's yelling. Naruto's response to this was to pull out an aerosol horn and blow it at Cleo, making a very loud and piercing horn sound and causing the cheerleader to hold her ears in pain. Ha! The prank king strikes again. Gandhi yelled, laughing at this as he high-fived Naruto. Okay, this prank gets my approval, Joan said with a chuckle as she uncovered her ears as she knew Naruto had brought that horn with him to the meet today. Naruto smiled at this as he went back to looking at the race, which was just ending with JFK crossing the finish line. Oh my god, we just won a cross-country dual meet, a student yelled out in surprise. Let's destroy property to show how much we appreciate the team, another student yelled out. This got cheers from the students as they all ran out of the stands. Riot! 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 The students chanted as they approached the school library and broke the window before entering it and then quickly leaving it destroyed. Guys, maybe we should, Joan was saying before she was interrupted. You know, seeing my best bud do his best and watching my school swell up with pride as we win a prime athletic event. Naruto said, wiping a tear from his eye. Joan smiled up at her adopted brother, glad he was being mature for once. Just makes me wanna burn this mother effer down. Kon on Gandhi, let's burn this whatif down. Naruto shouted loudly as he burst through the window of the cafeteria, let's burn it down. Come on Gandhi. Let's burn it down. Naruto shouted, as he started flipping over stoves, tearing off cabinets and shelves. He then held up a massive pot of hot ramen, chugging it down in one gulp while slurping up the noodles. Gandhi meanwhile had a muffler in his hand and had just taken a bite out of it and drank the car oil in it before laughing madly. Should have seen this coming, Joan said with a sigh as the riot continued. Flip the pool. A student shouted out. Attila was about to flip it over when Naruto stopped him. He grabbed the edges of the pool and his veins throbbing as he gave a loud primal roar and flipped it over, spilling water everywhere before Attila lit the flipped pool on fire. Principal's office. Meanwhile in Sudworth's office, he and Mr. B were watching what was happening outside from the window. Those lovable scamps. They're rioting at a collage level. Scudworth said with a happy smile as he watched everything outside be destroyed by the rioting students. Suddenly the window to the office was destroyed as a cheerleader landed in the office. Riot, she yelled happily, not bothered by this at all before she jumped out of the destroyed window. I wonder if Naruto is indulging in this or trying to stop it, Mr. B said as he looked outside for any sign of the blonde clone. Ha. There he is. Scudworth said as he was scanning through outside area for any sign of his adopted son before he pointed at the Falcati parking lot. Naruto was driving his Vespa around the parking lot like a wild man, smashing through several cars, crashing through anything he could see. As he passed a flag pole, he grabbed it and yanked it out of the ground before using it as a mallet, smashing it into every window he came across, all while laughing like a madman. That's my boy. Trying hard at everything he does. Scudworth yelled as he smiled at this. He just destroyed your car, Wesley, Mr. B said as he watched Naruto drive through a car, destroying it. What? I had 3 more payments before it was mine. Scudworth yelled out before an explosion went off and what looked like a burnt license plate with the words "Best Principal" landed at his feet. Gahahahahaha. Naruto cackled loudly as he did donuts in the parking lot of the school. The next day Naruto and his friends were sitting in Mr. Sheepman's class, or what was left of it, seeing as the class was very highly damaged along with the rest of the school after the riot. Now let's talk about yesterday's horrifying shenanigans, and feel free to say anything, cause today I'm gonna be your FANFIC, Mr. Sheepman said as he pointed at the chalkboard where the words "Frontation" was written in chalk. The class was silent at this as they weren't exactly used to opening up to the staff at the school, seeing as well they were led by Principal Scudworth. Nuff said. Okay, moving on. I know teenagers have an awful lot of confusing feelings, but today it is unlawful to bottle them up, you have to let them out. Like I do every night between 10 o'clock am to 10:15 on a pillow shaped like my father, Mr. Sheepman yelled out before calmly giving an example to his class. The class was again silent at this as again they weren't used to expressing themselves to the school staff, cause see above. So let's brainstorm some constructive ways we can express ourselves, Mr. Sheepman said with a smile at his class. Joan of Arc makes movies and Naruto writes, Gandhi said as he held up his hand. I make films, K. On video, experimental video art technically not intended for audiences, Joan said firmly as everyone looked at her. What a bunch of CRP, any art you make, good or bad, should at least have a chance to be looked at and judged, Naruto said with a scoff at this. You are then why haven't you let anyone read your ideas in your notebooks, whoa. JFK was asking before he ducked a swipe from Naruto's guitar. Cause FU, that's why. Naruto yelled out, ready to take another swing at JFK. Wonderful, making films and writing, that's a relatively inexpensive way to express oneself, I guess, Mr. Sheepman said, nodding at this before Abe got up, getting everyone's attention. I would like to help. I was on that cross-country team. For this reason I hereby volunteer to organize the first annual Take Back the Afternoon Film Festival to save Clonehigh. Abe said as held his fist up as he finished his speech. Wonderful. That means there won't be another riot. Mr. Sheepman said with a relieved smile at this. I give it a week, maybe 2, Naruto said with a snicker, getting laughs from some of the students and a groan from Mr. Sheepman. With Scudworth. Meanwhile with Principal Scudworth, he was in what was left of his office with Mr. B, and he was in a conference call with the leader of the organization of shadowy figures. Listen, we've all done things we're not proud of after a good cross-country meet, but that riot was unacceptable, the leader said as he glared at Scudworth who was looking at him through his giant TV screen. Unacceptable? Did you see the pool? My boy Naruto flipped the bee. I am so proud. Scudworth said with a happy smile. Principal Scudworth, if you were running this school properly there would be no riots, only clones trained for superior intellectual and physical combat. The leader said as he and the other shadowy figures behind him glared at the mad doctor as he turned around and walked away from the screen. Little do they know that I have my own plans for these clones, plans that don't involve these shadowy figures at all. Scudworth said out loud before he started to giggle to himself all while the leader watched him from the still on screen. We can hear you, you're speaking. I'm your normal speaking voice, the leader said with a flat tone. So I am, little do they know I have my own plans for these, Scudworth said out loud before he started to whisper before he was cut off. Scudworth, you're walking on thin ice, man, clone of Karen Carpenter thin, plus we want to actually meet the clone of Naruto Uzumaki, SP. I think this is a issue we should talk about in person, the leader said with a hard tone as he looked at Scudworth. Maybe we can have dinner. Perhaps the Olive Garden is like eating in the private kitchen of a delightful Italian stereotype. Scudworth said with a smile. We were thinking somewhere more NTMT, your house, next Friday, no dairy, please, the leader said firmly before he ended the call. DMN it. I haven't been to the Olive Garden in like forever. Scudworth yelled out. Me and Mr. B went last Wednesday, Naruto said announcing his presence behind the mad doctor. Ah. Don't do that. And why didn't you take me with you? Scudworth yelled out in surprise before he yelled at Naruto after he realized what the young clone just said. Cause Mr. B wanted to go and I figured he could use a break from sneaking your medication into your food, Naruto said with a smile at the mad doctor who could only growl as his face turned red. Before you start another fight you can't win, sir. Maybe you should make a plan on how to deal with the board of shadowy figures coming over for dinner next Friday, Mr. B said, getting Scudworth's attention. Oh, the board of morons are showing up. Oh goody, I have a list of complaints, Naruto said with a smile at this. They want to see me in person, brat, and they want to finally meet you in person, so you will be on your best behavior next Friday, or so help me dash. Wait, next Friday? Pass, Naruto said as he shook his head at this. What do you mean pass? Scudworth asked, raising an eyebrow at this. I believe in this instance it is slang for no, Mr. B said, trying to help. I know that. I mean why? Scudworth yelled before he looked at Naruto. Cause that's the night of the school film festival and I'm entering it, Naruto said with a smile. This got a smile from Mr. B but from Scudworth, well. What? You're gonna avoid meeting the board of shadowy figures just to enter some film you made in some contest? Scudworth yelled out, hoping he heard this wrong. Well, I haven't made my film yet, but I'll be making it soon. FYI, stay the hell out of my workspace in the garage or I'm gonna do things that will make Lorena Bobbitt toss her cookies, Naruto said with an evil smile at the doctor before he walked out of the office and slammed the door shut, cracking the door frame from the amount of force he used. Scudworth looked at the door with a blank expression and his mouth hanging open before he snapped out of it. What am I gonna do, Mr. B? If he's not at dinner then the board will know something is up and have me killed and mixed in with the local bologna supply, he yelled out in a panic as he waved his arms. Why not tell them Naruto is making a film to inspire his fellow clones like his clone father did as the great sage? Mr. B asked as he held up one of his robot arms. And that's why I keep you around, Mr. B. Scudworth yelled with a happy smile at this, glad that he had a plausible excuse to use. Mr. B sighed at this as he went back to his work in the office. Later with Naruto. Naruto was inside his garage, which he had converted into a workspace for his writing/music practice, and he was looking at the shelf where he kept his notebooks of writing ideas, which he kept under lock and key when he wasn't looking them over. Right now he was going over some of his notebooks trying to find a good one to use for the film festival. Okay, I need to pick one of these to adapt for the film festival. Let's see, The Last Airbender. Not a high concept, Jujutsu Kaisen. To dark, My Hero Academia. Superheroes aren't popular yet, Dragon Maid. Good God, I was lonely that week when I wrote that, Naruto said with a sheepish chuckle as he looked over his shelf. What kind need is one that I can do for cheap? It's not like cheap animation team is gonna fall into my lap, Naruto said as he grabbed a notebook and looked it over. Crash. DMN it if it's that quack high on cough syrup again, Naruto grumbled as he pushed the garage door opener, opening the garage door. He then walked outside and saw the side of the road there was what looked like a Koran family which consisted of a dozen people next to a parked truck which looked to have a broken down. You lot need help? Naruto asked as he came out, raising an eyebrow at this. Oh, that would be wonderful. We were on our way home after a family reunion, one of the men said, obviously the head of the family from the way he carried himself. Naruto nodded at this as he approached the vehicle, and after opening the trunk and tinkering with it first a bit, the engine started. Amazing. Thank you so much for the help, young man. Is there any way we can repay you? The leader of the Koran family asked Naruto, who was walking back towards his garage. Naruto paused at this as an idea hit him before he smiled, and he turned to look at the Koran family. Well, I do need help with a project. Are hard workers? He asked with a kind smile. The hardest, I'm happy to say, the leader said with a smile at this. But I have an animated project I'm trying to do that is due in 2 weeks, and usually it would take months, but with you I'm sure we can make the deadline, Naruto said with a smile. Animated? That's hard work, the leader of the family asked with a raised eyebrow. Oh, absolutely, trust me, I do love hard work. You will thrive with this, Naruto said with a grin. Leave it to us. If you need this done in 2 weeks, then it will be done, the leader said with a smile along with his family as Naruto led them into the garage. Good, follow me. I have a basement you can use, and I think I have the perfect project for my animated short, Naruto said as he looked at the notebook he was still holding, which had a title on it. Zom 100, Bucket List of the Dead. A few days later. It had been a few days since the students at the school had all started working HRD on their films for the festival. Joan currently was walking out of the grassy knoll and talking with Abe and seeing him tell Cleo that she could have as much for his film as he wants. You do realize that if you give her more time, that's gonna cut into everyone else's films, right? Joan asked Abe as they walked. I'm sure it won't be a problem. Cleo needs time to make her vision come true, Abe said with a smile as he thought about the girl he had a crush on. Fine, but you're telling Naruto he has to cut time out of his film, Joan said with a firm tone as they walked down the sidewalk. That's fine with me, I'll tell him myself. We're near his place right now, Abe said as they walked towards Naruto's garage. What stood out was that they could hear what sounded like music coming from inside the garage. Dystopia Song of the Dead. Naruto was heard singing from inside the garage. Didn't have Naruto pegged for doing musicals, Abe said as they approached the garage door. Joan shook her head at this before she knocked on the garage door, causing the music to stop and some noise to be heard before the garage door opened, revealing Naruto with his guitar around his neck. Oh hey sis, hey Abe, Naruto said as he let them into the garage. Working hard? Joan asked as she looked around the garage, seeing nothing but ramen cups and energy drinks along with Naruto's recording equipment. Of course I am, I can't wait to show off my film. So what brings you here? Shouldn't you be working on your films? Naruto asked curiously as he took his guitar off and smiled at Abe. Cleo wants more time for her film and asked Abe to cut time to some of the other students' films, Joan said with an annoyed tone as she thought about the popular girl. Oh, is that so? Naruto asked as he gave Abe a glare as if daring him to ask him to cut some of his film. Abe chuckled nervously at this as he looked around for a distraction until he could find a way to tell Naruto he needed to cut time on his film. He soon spotted what looked like a newspaper on Naruto's workbench. Hey buddy, what's that? He asked, desperate for a distraction. Oh, that's just a newspaper I'm keeping, it has my ad on it, Naruto said as he shrugged. Ad? Abe asked curiously while Joan took the paper. Yeah, my team of animators needed extra help and I took out ad, worked like a charm, Naruto said with a smile. Wanted, team of animators for independent movie. Preferably having experience with animation, no Amish, while you're actually letting me say that. Oh cool, so yeah, no Amish, pay is negotiable, Joan read from the paper before she looked at Naruto with a flat look on her face. You used speech to text, didn't you? Abe asked Naruto with a chuckle at the ad. Shut up, and no, I'm not cutting any of my animated shorts so Miss Congeniality's biopic can have a scene of her at the free clinic, Naruto said with a firm tone. Abe groaned at this while Joan covered her mouth to stifle her laughter at this. Now if you excuse me, I have more work to do. There's the door, Naruto said as he pointed at the garage exit. Oh come on bro, I'm sorry, so you're doing an animated short? Abe asked as he approached Naruto to try and mend fences. Yup, I'm finally using one of my notebooks of ideas, Naruto said with a smile as he pointed at his workbench where there was a notebook. Joan raised an eyebrow at this and looked at the notebook, but before she could read the front cover, Naruto quickly grabbed it and put it on a high shelf. Still self-conscious about your work? She asked with a teasing grin. I know you're not giving me CRP about keeping things to myself, Naruto said with a flat tone as he pointed at Joan then Abe while Abe looked at around his garage. Joan said nothing to this as Naruto had her there. So where are your animators? Abe asked curiously as he looked at Naruto. Naruto said as he quickly moved to stand on a part of the floor that was covered by a carpet. Oh, for crying out loud, Joan said with a roll of her eyes before she did a spin kick and nailed Naruto on the shoulder, sending him flying out of the garage before she moved the carpet, revealing a trap door which she grabbed and opened up, revealing a ladder. Oi! That's breaking and entering. Legally I can shoot you now. Naruto yelled as Joan started lowering herself on the ladder with Abe right behind her. Joan and Abe soon reached the bottom of the sub-basement, and when they turned around their eyes widened as they saw what looked like a big group of Koreans sitting at several desks working away at drawing, while some of them took the finished drawings and took them over to a computer nearby. Joan's eyebrow twitched at what she saw as Naruto caught up with them. It's not what it looks like, Yao. Naruto was saying before Joan grabbed Naruto by his shirt and slammed him against the wall, making an audible clang sound. It looks like a Korean sweatshop, Abe said as he looked at the team of animators working away. Oi, I'm more humane than that. Ah, my wrist. I use that DM it. Naruto was yelling before Joan applied pressure to his wrist. You better have a good explanation, mister, Joan said as she glared at Naruto. Miss Bossy Goth Lady, please be going away or we not get paid, one of the animators said as they finally took notice of what was going on. Wait, he's paying you? Joan asked as she looked at the animator. Oh yes, Miss Goth Lady, he is paying us with a great bounty of 12 tasty dogs, the animator said with a smile. Abe's face went green at this as he covered his mouth with his hand. In my defense, I'm using those dogs from the junkyard that keep chasing people, Naruto said with a nervous chuckle. Joan just blinked owlishly, and before she threw her hands up in defeat, DMN adopted brother and him propagating stereotypes and the Koreans that enable him, she grumbled as she walked towards the stairs out of the sub-basement with Abe right behind her. Love you too, sis. Naruto said as he rubbed his wrist before he looked at his team of animators. How is it going, people? Are we gonna make our deadline? He asked. Indeed we are, Mr. Uzumaki. We should be finished by the time you gave us, one of the animators yelled from his desk. Good. You lot keep it up and I'll throw in this street cat that keeps me up at night with his yowling. Naruto said with a smile at his team. This got smiles from the Korean team of animators as they all got back to work. A few days later. It was now the night of the Clonehigh Student Film Festival and everyone was in the auditorium getting in their seats. Joan had just gotten done talking to Abe and was making her way to tell projector room when she noticed Naruto walking towards her. Hey sis, what's got you so agitated? Naruto asked as he watched Joan knock on the sliding window to the projection booth. The sliding window opened, showing what looked like a teen with a really big nose and white hair. This was the clone of Thomas Edison. I know why you're here and you're not getting it, Joan. Edison said with a snort as he looked at Joan with a glare. You don't understand, Edison, let me in. Joan yelled at the teen clone. Oh, I do, you're wasting your time. Edison said with another snort. You should really see a guy about that nose, Edison. You could signal aircraft with that thing, Naruto said with a chuckle. Don't think sizing Uzumaki on me will help you, Joan, not even he can get through 2 inches of steel, Edison said with a snort before he closed the sliding window. Let me in it. Joan yelled as she tried to claw her way through the door, but it was no use. Will you relax? What's your problem anyway? Naruto asked as he grabbed Joan's hand and dragged her away from the projection booth. I need to get in there and get my film before Abe sees it. Joan yelled as she tried to get to the booth, but Naruto was easily holding her back. Oh geez, you went max cringe with the Love Me Abe stuff for your film, didn't you? Naruto asked after a few moments of thought before he winced and let Joan go. Either help me get in there or go make Gandhi put on some pants. Joan yelled at Naruto as she approached the booth again. DMN it Gandhi, we don't need another NDC anti-XPSR charge. Naruto yelled as he ran out to the main stage and to the audience seats. After getting Gandhi to put some pants on, everyone was sitting down as the first film was shown, which was by Gandhi and Carver, which was a buddy cop film called Black and Tan. So what did you think, bro? Gandhi asked Naruto as the film ended with a tease of a sequel. Naruto hummed this while smoking a pipe. Well, I must say the character development despite the short time span is rather impressive, though it does feel more like Carver is trying too hard to imitate Gandhi than showing his own unique persona. Naruto said, blowing several bubbles out of the pipe, revealing his pipe was a toy. Carver and Gandhi both paused at this before they both took out notebooks and started writing in them. Since when can you have a cohesive thought, Uzumaki? Cleo asked as she looked over her shoulder at Naruto, who was sitting behind her. I have plenty of introspective thoughts, I'll have you know. Naruto said as he crossed his arms. Oh really? Cleo asked as she raised an eyebrow at this. Yup, here's my next one, you have a zit on your nose and it's winking at me, Naruto said as he looked at Cleo. What? Cleo yelled as she took out her compact mirror and took a look at it in a panic to find said zit. Sucker, Naruto said with a snicker at how easy Cleo fell for that. Before Cleo could retaliate, Abe was already announcing the next film, which was his own, which was called It Takes a Hero, which was about a giraffe playing football. After the film was over, everyone in the audience had looks of boredom and half of them were asleep, but the ones that were still awake gave light applause. Except for Abe, who was smiling and had tears in his eyes at seeing his film on the big screen. Naruto on the other hand had a shocked look on his face while his toy pipe was hanging from his mouth. What the hell was that? He yelled as he removed the pipe from his mouth. That was cinema. Now the next film is by Cleopatra and it's called The Best of the Best. Oh my god. Abe said as he stood at the podium looking at his notes before he yelled and pointed at the projector room, which was on fire. Everyone panicked and yelled as Edison jumped out through the projector room's window before he quickly put himself out. DMN coal-powered projectors, all the films are ruined now, Edison yelled as he patted himself down. No. Cleo yelled out as this meant her film was destroyed. There is a god. Joan yelled happily as she smiled at the good luck. You better be kidding. Do you have any idea what I put into my film? Naruto yelled as he got up and approached Edison while grabbing his guitar off his back. Edison started to sweat at this before he looked down on the ground and saw that several film reels were on the ground. Oh, good news, 2 films survived the fire, Joan's and yours, he said with a nervous chuckle. Joan groaned at this as she slapped her forehead at her bad luck. Thank you, clone father, for my Uzumaki luck, Naruto said as he holstered his guitar and sighed in relief. Okay, seeing as everyone else's films were destroyed, we will move to Joan of Arc's film, which is titled The Truth Wears Sideburns. Abe said as he got everyone's attention and they all went back to their seats. Oof. Naruto said as he snorted in laughter at the title of Joan's FIC as he sat back down in his seat. Before Joan stomped on his foot hard, making an audible crunch as the film started. Which of course was a bizarre independent art film. It starred Joan, who was playing herself, and Genghis Khan, who was wearing sideburns and a top hat playing a character named Gabe. After the film ended, all of the students were silent as they all looked at Joan, who looked like she wanted to crawl into a cave and die of embarrassment. Ha! You like Abe? Can you be any more obvious? The clone of Sigmund Freud yelled as he laughed loudly as he pointed at Joan. Before Naruto passed a folding chair to Joan which she used to smack the laughing clone hard in the face making a clanging sound go off. Anyone else? Joan asked the auditorium with a look of annoyance while Naruto held up a fresh folded-up chair. The clones around her all shook their heads at this, not wanting to test the mad goth. Feel better? Naruto asked Joan as he put the folded chair down. Let me die. Joan said simply as she covered her face in embarrassment. Oh, relax, if I know Abe, he isn't gonna get the film anyway and nobody is gonna tell him thanks to you putting Sigmund in the hospital. Nando said as he shook his head as Abe approached the podium. Okay, we're at the final film of the evening and it's by our resident clone of the great sage, Abe said as he took out the notes and adjusted them. Oi! Naruto yelled as he grabbed his guitar in warning as he didn't like being compared to his clone father. Who has prepared an animated short for us which he calls Zom 100, he asked looking up from his notes with a raised eyebrow. Alright. Bring on the zombies. Gandhi yelled as he raised his arms in the air. Why would you make an animated short and go with zombies? Cleo asked as she looked over her shoulder at Naruto. Why would you decide to be the school bicycle? Don't judge me and I won't judge, Naruto was saying to Cleo before he snorted in laughter, not being able to finish his sentence. Cleo's eyebrow twitched violently at this as the lights dimmed down as the short started, which was about a 24-year-old named Akira Tendo who had gotten a job at a company and had spent a few years being exploited and abused to the point that he was practically a zombie. The only good thing in his life was a woman he had a crush on at the office, who was his boss's side girl. Dude, where are the zombies? Gandhi whispered to Naruto as Akira started to get ready to go to work in his trash-filled apartment. Shut up. Joan hissed at Gandhi as she was trying to pay attention. This is a little depressing, isn't it? Abe whispered to Naruto as he was surprised this was written by his friend. Naruto put his finger to his lips shushing Abe as the film continued and Akira discovered his landlord eating a woman before he snapped put of his zombie days and realized what was going on before he ran off from a horde of zombies before finally realizing something. He didn't have to go to work anymore. He was free. Free to do what he couldn't back when he was stuck in his job and getting yelled at and abused by his boss. Soon the short transitioned to Akira finding the girl he had a crush on and finding her as a zombie and deciding to still confess his feelings to her, before running like hell before he got eaten. The film then ended with Akira at an abandoned continent store thinking about how he could die at any time, especially with how the world was now. The film ended as a rock song started to play as Akira started grab a pad of paper from the store and a marker and started to make a list of things he wanted to do before he becomes a zombie. The screen went black as the title Zom 100, Bucket List of the Dead was shown and the lights came back on in the auditorium. Whew! Awesome! Gandhi screamed throwing up his hands. That was so awesome. JFK cheered. Wow, I did not see that. Coming, a highlight to both the stress of office jobs and a new take on the zombie apocalypse. 5 stars. Carver said clapping at this. I gotta admit you're crazy but spin's a good plot. Cleo said as she looked at Naruto. That hurt to say, didn't it? Naruto asked with a knowing smirk at the popular girl. Yeah, it even surprised me. You sure this was written by you? Joan said as she looked at Naruto with a raised eyebrow. Hey, that's offensive. If I wasn't so happy with my work I would lead a riot. Naruto was saying before he was cut off. Riot? Where? A student yelled out, getting everyone's attention. Riot. 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 Some of the students started to chant before they started to run out of the auditorium, starting a new riot. Would you believe I didn't plan this? Naruto asked with a sheepish chuckle as he looked at Joan. Not for a moment, Joan said with a flat tone of voice. Ah well, hey Gandhi, let's go burn this mother effer down. Naruto yelled as he took his guitar off his back. Song of the Dead. Who? Gandhi yelled as he followed after Naruto as he bashed open a wall with his guitar. And he won the film festival, Abe said with a sigh as while Naruto was a bit unhinged he couldn't deny he had won fair and square. Walk it off, Lincoln, Joan said as she pushed Abe out of the auditorium, which was now on fire thanks to the newly started riot. A few days later. It had been a few days since the film festival and everyone was sitting in class chatting among themselves before a screen in front of them lit up and an image of Scudworth appeared. Attention students. This is a special announcement, the PXJT is upon us. Fail it and your life will be ruined forever. Scudworth yelled as he held up his hand, dramatically getting looks of shock from the students. After a few moments of tense silence, Scudworth smiled at his students, but remember, the most important thing is to use a number 2 pencil. Number 2, he said with a smile before he growled emphasis on number 2. Gee, I wonder if he has a convoluted plan that involves number 2 pencils, Naruto said with a bored tone as he dug into his ear with his finger. None of your business, you man-child. I mean, have a good day. Scudworth yelled at Naruto before he quickly turned off the announcement screen. After this, everyone started to panic run out of the classroom as they started to look for their books and other study supplies. As Abe's self-class, he saw clearly at her locker, crying dramatically and dropping her supplies, and quickly ran over to help her pick them up. Joan seeing this sighed, and as her and Gandhi left class right behind him. I'm thinking we get some grub at the Knoll, you down, Joan? Gandhi asked as he smiled. Yeah, I could use a distraction, so where's Naruto? Joan asked as she looked away from Abe, who was looking at Cleo as she walked away from him with a smile after they made a date to study together and saw Naruto wasn't with them. They then heard a crash behind them, causing them to turn around, and saw Naruto with his guitar out, smashing the announcement screen on the wall that Scudworth had used to make his announcement. That's for calling me a man-child, you quack. Now let's go get me a juice box at the grassy knoll. Naruto yelled as he holstered his guitar on his back and walked out of the classroom. Joan and Gandhi said nothing to this as they followed after Naruto. At the grassy knoll. Later at the grassy knoll, the 3 teens were sitting at their table. That PXJT-CRP is useless in the real world, everything I need to know I learned on the streets. Gandhi said with a confident smile. So you suck at taking tests? Joan asked with a knowing look at her friend. Yeah, Gandhi said with a smile, not having a problem admitting this. You could take a prep course, Joan suggested. School after school. 1 school is enough for the G-man, but 2 is like what? Gandhi asked as he shook his head at this. Normally I would agree with you, sis, but this whole PXJT thing just screams a plan from the quack, so I'm not gonna let it bother me, Naruto said as he finished his bowl of ramen. Before Joan could respond to this, she spotted Abe coming in through the front doors. Oh, here comes Abe. Quick, pretend I said something funny, she said as Abe approached. Hey, you just farted? Gandhi asked Joan as Abe stood next to their table with bags under his eyes. Heh, somebody's baking brownies, Naruto said with a snicker along with Gandhi. Before Joan slugged him in the shoulder hard and kicked Gandhi in the knee under table. I haven't slept in 2 days, Abe said with a groan as he looked off into space. Abe, you need sleep, the PXJTs are coming up, Joan said as she frowned at her friend. Joan, I have a million other things to do for Cleo, Abe said as he shook his head trying to wake himself up. Oh come on, I can see being a pathetic simp for Cleo if you're into that kind of girl, but have some pride for F's sake, Naruto said as he rolled his eyes. I'll remember this whenever you get a crush on a girl, Abe said with a grumble. If and when that happens I won't be pulling this kind of CRP, Naruto said as he shook his head. Yeah, if anything you will make Abe look subtle, Gandhi said with a grin. Before Naruto kicked him in his other leg, making him yell out in pain. With Scudworth. With Scudworth he was at a special meeting with the shadowy figures along with Mr. B. First off, I want to thank you for your help with our conspiracy, the leader said. A spotlight shined down on Scudworth and Mr. B. Sure. Kids will be buying number 2 pencils by the bucket load. Why are we doing this again? Scudworth said before laughing maniacally before he paused and looked at the board of shadowy figures curiously. Infidel, a robotic voice yelled as what looked like a big gray robot on 2 wheels rolled into the room. It had 2 robot arms and red eyes. It is I. Scan grade the Magnificent, a test grading / world domination device. The PXJTs were made to provide me with my energy source, lead from a number 2 pencil. Scan grade said as he held his arms up. Maybe it's Naruto's influence, but this sounds really stupid, Mr. B whispered to Scudworth. Hush. Scudworth hissed under his breath beforehand, chuckled nervously at the board of shadowy figures. After over 50 years of testing, his power will finally be great enough, the leader of the board of shadowy figures was saying before he was cut off. Take over the world. Scangrade yelled as he wheeled around with his arms up. Oh yeah, that's a great idea. Mr. B said with a roll of his eyes. Mr. B. Language. Scudworth yelled surprise at the robot Buttle 4's language. Oh please, you hear worse from Naruto. Mr. B said as he rolled his eyes. True DMN, that Matt and Trey and their funny cartoons. Scudworth said as he clenched his fists dramatically. Speaking of which, how is development of the clone of Naruto Uzumaki going, Scudworth, the leader said as he looked at the Mad Doctor. Oh, most wonderful. Scudworth said with a nervous smile at the board. Really? We were most disappointed we didn't get to meet him at dinner the other night, the leader said as he glared at Scudworth, causing the Mad Doctor to start to sweat. He is doing fine, sirs. In fact, just recently he won the Clonehigh Film Festival. I do believe he inspired his fellow students like his clone father with his film, Mr. B said as he held up his arm. Ah, very good, you're both dismissed for now, the leader said as he pointed at the door. Always happy to be of service. Come, Mr. B. Scudworth yelled as he quickly made a beeline for the exit with Mr. B right behind him. A few days later. It was the morning of the PXJTs and Naruto was making his way to school on his Vespa, and as he drove down the street he was suddenly cut off by a car which barely missed him as it drove down the road. Hey! I had the right of way, you mother. Wait a second, that's Abe's car, Naruto was yelling before he recognized the car that cut him off as Abe's car before he quickly hit the turbo SWCH on his Vespa and shot off after Abe's car, leaving a smoke trail behind him. Soon he caught up with Abe's car, and when he came up on the driver's window he saw that Abe was sleeping at the wheel. Naruto then looked ahead and saw that coming at him and Abe's car was a truck full of pandas. Naruto narrowed his eyes at this before Ahei slammed himself into the side of Abe's car and punched through the window of the car before he grabbed the steering wheel and turned violently to the right, causing the car to turn, avoiding the oncoming truck just in time before the car collided with the tree in front of the school, stopping the car and his Vespa and sending Natural flying into some bushes nearby where Joan and Gandhi were. Ugh, wipeout, Naruto groaned as he stood up out of the bushes. Oh my god, Abe. Joan yelled as she ran to Abe's car and opened the passenger car to let Abe out. Don't worry, Cleo, I'll get all of it done, Abe groaned out as he snored. Oh, for F's sake, Naruto groaned as he realized what had caused this before he looked around and spotted Cleo, who had just arrived at school. Bro, maybe you should dash, Gandhi was saying as he saw the death glare Naruto was giving Cleo. But Naruto ignored this and made his way towards Cleo. What do you want, Uzumaki? Cleo asked with a bored tone of voice. I want you to know that now that you have put my friend Abe in danger, so congrats, you're on my SHT list, Naruto said as he gave Cleo a death glare. Wait, what? What happened? Cleo asked as she quickly changed her tone as she noticed Abe's car, which was crashed into the tree nearby. What happened was that he was asleep at the wheel after he ran himself ragged doing all that stupid CRP for you when he getting some sleep. Naruto said firmly as he glared at Cleo. Oh my god, is Abe okay, hey? Cleo asked as her eyes widened as Naruto grabbed her. Listen, you stuck-up, arrogant, disloyal, egotistical, selfish, childish, mall shopping, beauty queen, BPP eating thunder CNT. Naruto growled at Cleo. Listen up, cause I'm officially putting you on notice. If you ever, and I mean ever, abuse Abe or do anything that'll put him in danger like this again, I'm gonna tear off that pretty little face you're so DMN proud of and feed it to the rats and then replace it with dried meat and throw you in a cage with a pack of wild dogs. Naruto yelled as he held her by the front of her shirt, lifting her off the ground. This got silence from all of the students watching, as while Naruto was prone to getting even with people who crossed him, he always limited this to pranks and never actually attacked anyone. "Are we clear, prom queen?" Naruto growled as he glared at Cleo. Shakespeare's clone himself couldn't have put it better, Cleo stuttered out. "Great. Now you go be a decent person to Abe, or I'm gonna end up on a most wanted list," Naruto said happily as he smiled kindly as he put Cleo down and dusted her off before walking away. Cleo panted for breath at this before she quickly ran over to Abe to check on him, pushing Joan put of the way as she did. Later that day in the principal's office. It was after the PXJTs and scan grade was sitting in Sudworth's office while the janitor loaded up the students' tests into his scanner. "Finally. Soon I will be at full power and, ag. Some infidel didn't use a number 2 pencil." Scangrade was saying before he started to cough. "Oh. Is this a number 3 pencil?" "Oops," Mr. B said as he sat in Cudworth's chair and held up said pencil. "You fool. I'll turn you into scrap." Scangrade yelled as he replaced his arms with giant mallet and a buzzsaw and started to chase Mr. B. "Bring it on, you butt clown." Mr. B yelled as he threw a teapot at Scangrade before he ran away from the mad robot. With Naruto. It was after school and Naruto was outside his locker and he noticed that everyone was giving him nervous looks, but he didn't react. "Hey bro, are you calm now?" Joan asked as she approached Naruto with Gandhi. "Yes, I'm fine and getting ready to meet up with the Quack and Mr. B for family dinner night at the Olive Garden in Gandhi. You don't need a riot helmet," Naruto said as he closed his locker and looked at his friends and noticed that his male friend was wearing a riot helmet. "You know the protocol bro, when you get physical I wear this for the day to avoid catching shrapnel," Gandhi said as he gestured to his helmet. "We wrote that protocol when we were 8 dude," Naruto said with a flat tone of voice. "It's still in effect bro," Gandhi said as he secured his helmet. "Anyway, how's Abe?" Naruto asked Joan, ignoring Gandhi. "He's over the moon cause Cleo and him are going on a date this weekend thanks to you," Joan said as she gave Naruto a pointed look. Would you believe I was expecting Cleo to just run back to Kennedy instead of actually giving him a chance?" Naruto asked with a nervous chuckle. "Fine," Joan said as she sighed as she knew she couldn't fault Naruto for this. "Hey bro, did I tell you about my trucker adventure?" Gandhi asked curiously as he moved the faceplate on his helmet up to show his face. "Yes you did, and like I said the first time you told me, if you're gonna smoke weed then share that SHT, ow." Naruto was saying to Gandhi before Joan slugged him in the shoulder. "With Mr. B." Scangrade laughed as his buzz saw was about to slice the downed Mr. B in half, before the office door opened. "Sorry I'm late, let's get some Olive Garden," Naruto was saying before he saw what was going on and quickly shot forward and smashed the larger robot across the face with his guitar, knocking him toppling over tables and beakers as he crashed into the wall. "Get the F away from my robo-dad," Naruto yelled as he held up his guitar, narrowing his eyes at Scangrade. "Ah well, if it isn't Mr. B Whittle baby boy. Ha! I knew he would make you weak." Scangrade laughed, earning a glare from the clone sage. "He taught me lots of things, to drive, brush my teeth, potty training, ABCs. But what he didn't teach me." Naruto suddenly appeared in front of Scangrade, smacking him aside. "Was to be weak," he said with low deadly tone. "Kick his butt, son." Mr. B cheered as he waved his arms as he struggled to get back on his feet. Naruto launched himself forward, swinging his guitar at Scangrade, striking him hard and fast, cutting and cracking his shell. Scangrade growled, unleashing his saw. Naruto reared his guitar back, then smashed it into the saw, sparks surfing from the weapon's collision, the saw blades chipping away as they gashed against the guitar. "What is that guitar made of?" Scanner exclaimed, looking at his damaged broken saw. "Mr. B helped me make it so it's better built than you, ya out-of-date bag of bolts, dot." Naruto said, rushing in. He jumped into the air, strumming HRD on his guitar, releasing a sonic wave of loud music. Scangrade held his hand in pain, screaming in pain as the sound wave started to short him out. Naruto locked his guitar behind his back. He reared his fist back, tightening his fist so that his veins throbbed through his knuckles. He thrusted his punch, smashing it into Skangrade's chest, the impact causing the mad machine's bolts coming undone and his wheels breaking. He spit out globs of oil and parts falling apart under Naruto's feet. Rust in hell, uf prick. Naruto said, walking away from Skangrade, helping Mr. B up. You okay, Mr. B? He asked. Yes. Good work trashing that piece of scrap SHT. Mr. B smiled as he dusted himself off. Mr. B, is Skangrade done yet? I want to get to the Olive Garden before. Oh, come on. I thought we agreed on no shenanigans in my office, you brat. Scudworth was saying as he entered the office, but soon saw the destruction and the destroyed Skangrade. He started it, you quack. Now let's go to the Olive Garden. You're lucky I'm starving, otherwise I wouldn't eat with you, you maggot. Naruto yelled as he looked at Scudworth. That's it. We're not stopping for ice cream on the way home. Scudworth yelled at the clone sage. What? I have been good lately, you quack. Naruto yelled out, I rage at this. Mr. B sighed but slightly chuckled as the principal and teen clone started to argue some more as they left the office. However, unknown to them, there was a beeping light in Skangrade's corpse. Bat was going off as footage of the fight that had just happened was sent to the board of shadowy figures. Clonehigh Gymnasium. It had been a few days since the PXJTs and it was now the last thing on anyone's mind. Right now everyone was gathered in the gymnasium watching the latest pep rally basketball game in preparation for the big game against the school's arch-rival GSH, or genetically engineered superhuman high. And they were getting their asses kicked as they hadn't scored a point all game. Come on, people. You're all a disgrace to genetic engineering. I made a $100 bet that I could have you score at least 1 point and I refuse to lose. Scudworth yelled at his team of clones as they all attempted to make jump shots and kept missing. Who did you make a bet with? Oh, like I don't know, Mr. B was asking before he sighed as he turned to look at the stands. I expect cash, you quack. No checks or IOUs. Naruto yelled from his seat next to Joan. What? You don't trust your adopted father to be good for it? Scudworth asked as he looked over his shoulder at Naruto. Gahahahahaha, you serious? Naruto laughed before he fell over, kicking his legs at this before he calmed himself and got up and calmly answered his adopted parent. Scudworth's face went red from his rage at this, as while he could take losing a game he couldn't take the mockery from Naruto too. Will you stop? The new homecoming banner is being brought out, Joan said as the staff prepared to unroll the new banner for the home team. Still wish they would have let me help with the new banner, Naruto grumbled under his breath as he watched Gandhi dance around as the mascot DNA Dan. And have you screw around with the banner as a prank? This is Abe's first year as team captain and you will support him like a friend, Joan said as she gave Naruto a glare. Well, yes, Miss Joan, I'll be a good boy while you simp over that Lincoln boy, ow. Naruto was saying with a very heavy southern accent before Joan slugged him in the face. As this happened, the new banner was unrolled, showing that it was defiled, so that instead of saying Clone High rules it now said the clones must be high if they think they rule. This got looks of shock and then anger from everyone in the gymnasium, before everyone looked at Naruto with accusing looks. Naruto asked as he held his face and looked around at everyone who was now looking at him. DMN it Uzumaki. Cleo yelled as she threw her pom-poms down on the ground and glared at Naruto. You are a not cool Uzumaki. JFK yelled at Naruto. Naruto, I thought we agreed no pranks on the team. Abe yelled as he looked at Naruto with a look of betrayal. Hey! It wasn't me. Naruto yelled as he shook his head and stood up. Hey, look on the back, you signed your name. Gandhi yelled as some of the basketball team turned the banner over, showing it was signed by Naruto Uzumaki. This caused the student body to start booing as they started to throw things at Naruto. That's it, you little deviant. If you think you're getting away with this, you have another thing coming. Scudworth yelled as he approached Naruto and grabbed him by his ear. Ow! It wasn't me. I was framed. Framed, I tell ya. Hey, I use that, you quack. Naruto yelled as Scudworth started to drag him out of the gymnasium, Mr. B close behind him. Later. Scudworth kicked open his office door as he dragged Naruto into his office, Mr. B close behind. Sit down, you little delinquent. Scudworth yelled as he guided Naruto to a chair by his ear. Ow. If I wasn't so peace-loving I would shove this dash, Naruto was yelling as he grabbed his guitar off his back before he was cut off. You. Peace-loving? Gahahaha. Scudworth asked before he started to laugh madly at the very idea of this. I'm plenty peaceful, you quack. Naruto yelled as he got in Scudworth's face. Oh please, you're every bit an agent of chaos as me. Scudworth said as he scoffed. You take that back. Naruto yelled as he raised his guitar over his back and raged at the comparison. Before you commit patricide, it would interest you to know that according to security footage in the gymnasium, it would seem that the school banner was actually sabotaged by students from GSH, Mr. B said, trying to get their attention. Whack. But Naruto had already smacked Scudworth hard in the head with his guitar, leaving him on the floor dazed and seeing stars. What? Those GSH assholes not only pulled a lame prank but framed me for it. This will not stand. I will have my revenge. Naruto yelled as he waved his guitar as he started lightly foam at the mouth from his rage. But mommy, I don't want to feed Grandma bacon while she's bathing, Scudworth groaned in a daze while he laid on the floor. Mr. B sighed at this before he attempted to calm the young clone before he did something that would get him in trouble, so a average Tuesday at Clonehigh. Later after school the next day, Abe, Joan and Gandhi was at the grassy knoll hanging out, talking about the fact that Mr. B had announced that Naruto had been framed by GSH for the prank. Gandhi is past, bro. I worked my beige butt off on that banner. Gandhi yelled as he slammed his hand on his group's table. Don't forget they framed Naruto for it, Abe said as he frowned as he felt bad for jumping to conclusions even if all the evidence pointed at his friend. He should be fine. If I know Naruto, he will probably plan his own revenge on GSH that will probably involve lawyers getting involved, Joan said with a flat tone as she knew her adopted brother, and that when he was crossed it wasn't a matter of if he would get revenge, it was a matter of when. And I'm gonna go help my bro get those GSH freaks back. Because if Mahatma Gandhi stands for anything, it's revenge. Gandhi yelled as he jumped onto the table before he ran out of the restaurant yelling a war cry. Gandhi is right, Gesha's gonna have to deal with 104 pounds of all beef, Captain Abe said as he pumped his fist in determination. And the wrath of 105 pounds of grade A girl meat. I'm playing on the team this year, Captain, Joan said as she too pumped her fist. Joan, you know the rules, no girls or animals can play on the boys' teams, Abe said as he shook his head a bit. Before Joan could respond to this, she spotted Naruto entering the restaurant. Hey Naruto, she said, calling out to him. Where have you been, buddy? Abe asked as he turned to look at his friend. Oh, I'm sorry, do I know you too? Naruto asked as he looked at Abe and Joan with a look of confusion. You didn't hit your head in one of Scudworth's tests, did you? Abe asked as he gasped in such thinking Naruto had memory loss. No, Abe, he's being as smart, but for us believing he ruined the banner. Come on Naruto, we're your friends, Joan said as she looked at Abe before turning her gaze to Naruto. Friends? Oh, I have no friends, Naruto asked before he shook his head in a condescending manner. Okay, you made your point, Joan said as she gave Naruto a look of annoyance. Point? Oh, I have no oh, very clever sis, Naruto was saying, keeping up his bit paused as he realized that Joan had tricked him and seeing her smirk. Come on bro, you have friends, let me buy you some ramen and we can make this right, Abe said as he held out a menu to Naruto. Fine, I need my energy if I'm gonna go through with my plan to get revenge on those GSH BSTRDS, Naruto said as he took the menu from Abe and sat down next to him. This doesn't involve an ambulance or a morgue, does it? Joan asked as she knew she may as well ask this now. I'm gonna say no so you don't get charged as an accessory, Naruto said casually as he turned the page on his menu. You do realize you could avoid the trail if you got your revenge in a non-violent way, right? Abe asked as he was hoping to convince Naruto not to go over the top. And let them get away with framing me for pulling such a lame butt prank? Naruto yelled as he slammed his hands on the desk, making Abe jump back a bit. You know, you could join the basketball team with your athletic skills. You could help them finally beat GSH and break their winning streak. Talk about the ultimate revenge, Joan said causal as she lightly smirked at Naruto's pause as her words registered in his head. That would be great. The team could use all the help it could get, Abe said with a smile at Naruto. Normally I would say no, as that would mean taking orders from the quack, but the idea of destroying their winning streak and breaking their spirit and mental state is too good to pass up. Okay Captain, you're on, Naruto said before he nodded and smiled at Abe. Joan shook her head at this as she was glad Naruto was over his anger at them, but was still annoyed she can't play for the basketball team with Scudworth. Meanwhile with Scudworth, he was in his office sitting at his desk holding a ice pack to his head while Mr. B served him some tea. Remember to apply pressure, Wesley, Mr. B said as he poured some tea into a cup. I know that, Mr. B, and tell your two brothers to stop mimicking you. I'm getting a headache, Scudworth yelled as he looked at Mr. B. Mr. B sighed at this as the mad principal had been seeing double since Naruto had smacked him with his guitar. Is now a bad time, or should I call some other later? A male southern voice said as what appeared to be in a white suit and a cowboy hat appeared on the video screen in the office. This was Colonel Principal, the principal of GSH. Ah, Colonel Principal of GSH, we meet again, Scudworth said as he looked at the screen. Principal Scudworth, I reckon it's time for our annual wager. Now I'm a sportin' man, so I'm willing to bet that your puny clones can't even score a single point of my boys, Colonel Principal said with a smug tone as he looked at Scudworth. What? My clones will wipe the floor with your mutants. In this instance, while the floor means score a point on, Scudworth yelled out in a rage before he calmly clarified. Very well, what's the ante? Colonel Principal asked as he looked at Scudworth. Loser does the winner's laundry, or a week, Scudworth said, shocking Colonel Principal. Deal, but let's up it even more if we win. I get Naruto, the Colonel said, shocking Scudworth while Mr. B shot steam from his head. Deal, Scudworth said as he wasn't one to welch on a bet. Wonderful. That boy more here than at your school anyway, see you at the game, Scudworth, the Colonel said with a smile before he hung up. What the F, Weasley? Mr. B screamed as he grabbed the teapot on the desk. Oh, relax, Mr. B, I have this completely under, ow. Chamomile, oh god, it burns, Scudworth was saying before the teapot Mr. B was holding smashed against his face, covering him in tea which he licked before he realized it was hot and started to run around the office screaming in pain. The next day. It was the next day and Naruto was in the gymnasium for his first practice with the basketball team. Hurry and pass the ball already, Uzumaki, JFK yelled as he stood near the goal waiting for Naruto to pass to him. I know how to pass, Kennedy, just let me show off my skills, Naruto said as he bounced the ball on his knee a bit before he started to bounce it on his head. Just pass the ball and show you can play the game, oof, JFK was yelling before the ball suddenly struck him in the stomach, sending him to the ground from the force. Naruto snickered at this before he heard a crash and looked behind him and saw that Abe had just broken a window with the ball after trying to make a free throw shot to impress Cleo. Before Naruto could make a comment about this, he paused as he saw what looked like Joan enter the gym and grab the ball and toss it into the goal. What stood out to Naruto was that Joan was wearing a baseball cap and big fake mustache that covered her face. Who are you? Cleo asked Joan as she smiled, impressed with the show of skill. My name is John Dark, Joan said, putting on an exaggerated male tone of voice. Isn't that the French name for Joan of Arc? Carver asked with a friendly smile. No, nothing like that at all, Joan said as her eyes shifted around as the rest of the team provided to welcome her. Oi, Naruto said as he pinched his nose, seeing that everyone was actually buying this really bad disguise of Joan's. But before he could respond to this, all of the players quickly lined up as Scudworth, who was wearing a coach uniform, came into the gym. Okay, clones, as your new coach, our goal is simple, to score a point, Scudworth said as he clenched his gloved hands dramatically. To acquire said point we have acquired the Harlem Globetrotters playback off the interweb, Mr. B said as he wheeled over holding up said playbook, which was from the 70s and taped together. I feel so confident about this, Naruto said with heavy sarcasm. Who said, wait, why are you here, you brat? Scudworth was yelling before he noticed Naruto was here. I'm looking to get revenge on those GSHBSTRDS and I promised Mr. B I wouldn't go jail, so I have to do this. Mr. B said you made some dumb but bet, so I guess I can help with that, Naruto said as he gestured to his basketball uniform. Wonderful. You can help me win this bet so I don't have to hand you over to the coronel, Scudworth said with a smile as he was happy that Naruto was going to use his athletic skills to help them. Everyone in the gymnasium was silent at this before they all quickly moved away from Naruto, whose eyebrow was violently twitching before. You bet me on some laundry. Naruto shouted before grabbing Scudworth by his throat. Wait, Naruto, stop. Mr. B said, scooting between Naruto and Scudworth and separating them. Thanks Mr. B, Scudworth said as he adjusted his couch uniform. Here, use this. Mr. B said, handing Naruto his trusty guitar. Thanks Robo Pops. Naruto said with a smile as he grabbed the guitar before he raised it high in the air. Mr. By. Scudworth screamed as Naruto pounced at him, smashing his guitar down on his head. Smash. 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 Okay team, let's get to work on some basic drills, Mr. B said to the rest of the team as Naruto finished with Scudworth. Yeah, we have actual stakes now people, and if I end up being sent to GSH you're all getting the same as him. Naruto yelled as he walked away from the beaten Scudworth, who was on the ground covered in bruises. I'll have the linguine with clams, Scudworth groaned out in a daze as the team quickly got to work. After school. After practice, Naruto was walking towards his locker and paused as he saw Joan walking out of the boys' locker room. Hey Joan, how was the locker room? You see anything you shouldn't? Naruto asked with a grin as he approached the badly disguised team. You know. Joan asked as she looked at Naruto, dropping her male voice. Well duh, I'm not retarded, Naruto said as he gave his adopted sister a flat look. Look, I don't need a lecture from you about this is stupid, Joan said as she approached her own locker. This is sick, girl, are you really gonna go through with this? Naruto shouted. I'm sick of the sexist bull CRP, I'm gonna prove that I can play on this team, Joan said as she glared lightly. And the fact that you get to play with Abe and B, one of the guys, isn't a factor at all, Naruto said as he made air quotes and gave Joan a knowing look. Should have known I couldn't fool you, Joan said as she sighed at the fact that Naruto saw through her. Yeah, you should have, I'm raised by the quack, but I'm not as dumb as him, Naruto said as he rolled his eyes. Yeah, you just have random bursts of anger like him, have crazy ideas like him, and you can cackle like him, Joan was listing off before. Hey John, let me show you something, Naruto growled as he approached Joan and punched his locker, leaving a dent in the door. Look, this could be my only chance to show Abe that I'm the girl for him. Joan argued as she looked at Naruto, not flinching under his glare. Not by playing a dude, you idiot. Have you thought any of this through? Naruto asked as he looked at Joan. Honestly? No, not really, my plan was just to help win the game, then reveal who I am and hope they all accept that a girl outdid them, Joan said as she shrugged. You think this is gonna go like an after-school special? With this school of morons? Ha! Naruto asked with a shocked look on his face before he started to laugh. Just promise me you won't tell anyone, Joan did as she gave Naruto a look of annoyance. I'm not gonna rat you out, sis, Naruto said as he calmed himself. Thank you, Joan said as she sighed in relief. I'm gonna watch you squirm and get caught on your own, Naruto said with a smile. Oh come on, how hard can it be? Joan asked as she opened her locker. I think that guy who did the Bear documentary said the same thing before he got mauled, Naruto said with a snicker at this. Joan's eyebrow twitched at this before she grabbed Naruto and slammed his head in her locker and started to slam the open door closed on his head. Ow. Ow. Hey, maybe you can be a guy. Ow. 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 Naruto was yelling in pain before Joan started to slam the door harder on his head after his comment. The next day Naruto was in the weight room with the rest of the team who were all doing those own workouts. As Naruto was lifting some weights he noticed JFK watching Joan as she worked out. Are you doing okay, Kennedy? He asked as he raised an inquisitive eyebrow. You are? Yes, I am fine. And to distract from this, it is now time for the SXL Conquest discussion to begin, JFK said as he quickly put on a confident smile. This got smiles from the other guys while Johan froze as she hadn't thought about this. John Dark, how about you start us off? JFK asked with a grin at Joan. I would never kiss and tell dash, Joan was saying before she was cut off. Intruder. Intruder. JFK yelled as he pointed at Joan along with the other guys frowning. Will you relax, Kennedy? He's obviously kidding, right? Naruto said as he gave Joan a look that said back me up, you moron. Of course, let's see. Once I met this girl, Joan said as she struggled to think of a convincing story. Yeah, the guys all asked wanting to hear more. And we kissed, Joan said. Yeah, the guys all asked again excitedly. And then we held each other until the sun came up, Joan said as she looked at the guys. This got silence from everyone as they looked at Joan with looks of disappointment. Naruto snorted at this as he covered his mouth as he didn't want to make Joan look bad by laughing. And then I nailed her, Joan said, seeing Naruto's attempt to not laugh as a sign to add more. This got cheers from the other guys as they all started to high-five each other. Was that girl someone else's girlfriend, Dark? 'Cause you seem to be into that, Abe asked as he put down his weights and gave Joan a dirty look. Will you relax, Abe? John isn't into finger food, Naruto said as he rolled his eyes. You are finger food? JFK asked as he looked at Naruto confused. I'm not into what's everyone's touched, John said quickly getting what Naruto was saying. This got laughs from the other guys as they saw this as a good burn. Ha! Good one, Uzumaki, JFK said as while he didn't get alone with Naruto he could appreciate a good innuendo joke. You are just jealous that you don't have the raw moral fiber that it takes to be the captain of this team, Abe said as he pointed to the embroidered C on his jersey. Suddenly the door to the weight room opened as Scudworth, who was wearing a bandage on his head, walked in with Mr. B close behind. Attention students. Change of plans, Scudworth yelled as he entered. Your insurance approved your new medication. I hope this one helped with your insane rambling. I'm starting to have night terrors, Naruto said as he put down his weights. This got snickers from the other guys as Naruto insulting Scudworth was always fun to watch. Scudworth's eyebrow twitched at this before he glared at Mr. B, who was also snickering, causing him to go silent. No, you fool, I'm here to announce that Lincoln is out as captain, and while I had considered making you captain, I don't want anyone to think I'm playing favorites with my adopted son, so Johan Dark, you're in. The mad principal said as he looked at Abe and then Joan before he proceeded to rip the embroidered C off Abe's jersey before handing the C to Joan. Favorite but you just don't want me busting your head open when you give me orders, Naruto said as he rolled his eyes. Bingo Wesley, Mr. B said as he held up his robot arm. Scudworth grumbled at this as he left the weight room with Mr. B close behind. I'm sorry, Abe, I didn't want to hurt you, Joan said as he approached Abe. It's a lattice late for that, you may have won my captain's C, but you will never get my other C, Cleo, Abe said as he crossed his arms and gave Joan a dirty look. Your Cleo asked me to the dance. Joan said as she was starting to get annoyed. Naruto snorted at this but went silent as Joan glared at him and made a killing gesture under her neck. You lie, Dark. Abe yelled as he attempted to shove Joan, but he ended up just pushing himself over, causing him to fall over some weights nearby. No, from what her record shows that sounds like Cleo, right, Kennedy? Naruto asked as he held up a pad of paper which looked to be a timeline of Cleo's dating history, which Naruto had labeled as Cleo's whole history. JFK took a look at the timeliness and after a few moments nodded. Yup, checks out to me, he said as Abe got up from his fall covered in bruises. DMN it, I'm not talking to any of you anymore. There's no one I can trust. Even Joan hasn't been around for some unsuspicious reason. DMN it, I'm the tallest. Abe yelled as he made his way out of the weight room. Oh, don't be such a baby. I talk SHT to everyone. It's how I show love. Naruto yelled after Abe. Wow, you are and must really love your adopted dad, eh? JFK asked as he looked at Naruto curiously. This got laughs from the other members of the team. Joan groaned at this as she quickly made her way to the back door of the weight room as she knew this was gonna get ugly. Oh, you think so, eh? Naruto asked as he smiled as he closed the door to the weight room, and then broke the doorknob so it couldn't be opened. Z revolution has failed. Napoleon yelled as Naruto approached them, cracking his knuckles. The sounds and yells and blows lending was heard coming from the weight room for the next couple minutes. The next day. It was the night of the big game and Naruto was making his way to the school on foot, seeing as Scudworth had grounded him off his Vespa for beating up the rest of the team right before the big game. DMN quack thinking he can tell me what to do, I'm so gonna shove something up his what the hell. Naruto was grumbling before he paused as he spotted Gandhi and what looked like a guy in a costume which consisted of a purple bush, a horn mouth, 4 arms and 2 devil horns sticking out of his head. Is that the mascot from GSH? Naruto asked as he approached Gandhi and the mascot, who were standing in a meadow. Oh hey bro, yeah, this is the mascot, Gandhi said as he gained a nervous look on his face seeing Naruto. Cool. Get that costume off him and we can get revenge on GSH at the game tonight. I'll need a bucket, of umbrella and dash, Naruto says with a smile before he started to list some things before he was cut off. It's not a costume, Geshi is real, Gandhi said as the mascot sniffed Naruto curiously. Real? Bullshit, that thing has a zipper on its chest, Naruto asked before he pointed at Geshi's chest where there was indeed a zipper. Trust me, you don't want to open that, bro, Gandhi said as his face slightly turned green. Huh, well, I guess this makes sense. GSH is known for making mutants, so you have just been doing the old Yeller deal with this thing the whole time? Naruto asked curiously as he had been wondering where Gandhi was the whole week. Yup, and now I'm letting Geshi go free into the world, Gandhi said with a smile as he nodded at the mutant mascot who ran off into the meadow field. Naruto and Gandhi watched as Geshi ran off into the distance, watching it bite off the head of a defenseless animal before swallowing it whole. It then ran over to a cute squirrel before biting its head, squeezing its insides into its mouth. Geshi ran around the meadow laughing and cheering, Candy! Candy, as he continued to massacre whatever he came across. Naruto and Gandhi watched on with silent horror. The pacifist clone whistled, attempting to run away, but Naruto grabbed him by the back of his shirt. Pull the F up. Naruto yanked the little troublemaker of a clone back to him. You caused this, we're gonna fix it, he said as he gave his friend a look that said that he wasn't playing. But you're gonna kill Geshi. Gandhi screamed in horror, realizing what his friend was gonna do as Naruto took his guitar out and started loading shotgun ammo into the neck of it. You mean kill the totally adorable but brutality ruthless killing machine? Yes, yes I am. Naruto shouted as he pumped the neck of his guitar. But you can't, it's a living thing, man. All life is sacred in this world. Gandhi yelled in a panic. You know I would take you seriously if you didn't have the most playtime in Grand Theft Auto, Naruto said with a flat tone as he went to follow Geshi with his guitar/shotgun. That was a video game, man, this is a living thing. Gandhi argued, making Naruto pause. Fine, but if that little eats anything I care about, oh it's on, are we clear? Naruto said as he gave Gandhi a death glare. Like the tide, now let's get to the game, Gandhi said as he edged away from Naruto's glare. The tide isn't always clear, screw it, wait for me you maniac, Naruto was saying before he shook his head and ran after his friend. Later at the game, the stands were packed and everyone was enjoying the game. Even though the score was 72-0 with GSH winning. This is pathetic. Scudworth yelled from his seat as Joan passed the ball to Abe again, who missed another shot which had been happening the whole game. Hey Scudworth. Hope your boy has packed his bags, the Coronel yelled from his seat. He's not your boy yet, DMN it. Scudworth yelled at the Coronel. The colonel was about to say something before he was hit in the back of the head with a spare basketball courtesy of Naruto, who was on the bench seeing as he had several foul calls already. "I ain't your boy fried chicken peddling F-wad," Naruto yelled as he waved his fist in the air. "That's my boy." Scudworth yelled with a smile at this, before he too was hit with a spare ball. "Put me in the game, you quack," Naruto yelled, ignoring his adopted father's attempt to bond with him. "What a shellacking. Taft Napoleon. Here are some stilts and an obscenely long overcoat." "You know what to do," Scudworth yelled at his team, ignoring his adopted son as he gave his team the next play. "Are you shitting me? We could end this stupid bet easily if the quack wasn't retarded and my adopted sister wasn't a love-sick moron," Naruto yelled as the next play started with Napoleon sitting on Raph's shoulders while wearing stilts and a long overcoat. "Hey!" Joan yelled as she gave Naruto a dirty look at his obvious dig at her, which thankfully Abe wouldn't get. "Yeah, I'm not fireproof," Scudworth yelled as he looked at Naruto. Before Naruto could laugh his butt off at this, the wall nearby shook before Geshi burst through holding a full-grown bear in his mouth, which he proceeded to swing in his mouth before throwing it on the ground dead. "Geshi!" Gandhi yelled happily as he took off his mascot mask. "Gandhi!" Visher yelled happily as he ran towards Gandhi, before running past him and running to the referee and biting his arm off. "Well, at least now we get 2 free throws," Mr. B said as the referee made the call. "Yeah, but will the quack choose the right player to make the shot?" Naruto asked as he gave Scudworth a annoyed look. "Lincoln, I'm counting on you, to give the ball to Dark." "Ha! You thought I was gonna pick you? Oh, that's rich," Scudworth was saying as he patted Abe on the shoulder before he completed his sentence and started to laugh. "Let Abe shoot, he can do it," Joan said as he stepped forward. "Oh, stop ISCK, Abe said as he rolled his eyes at FBJS. "Yes. Listen to the sucky kid," Scudworth said as he pointed at Abe. "No, I'm done, the truth is I wanted to prove dash," Joan was saying before she was cut off. "Can we move this along, Joan?" Naruto yelled out for the whole gym to hear. "Joan," everyone yelled as they looked at Joan, who took off her hat and mustache. "So you are as she was a chicken the whole time. Goodbye Will and Grace, hello Dharma and Greg." JFK said with relieved smile that John was actually a girl the whole time. "I almost did it with Joan." Hot?" Cleo asked before she slightly smirked after a few moments of thought. "Okay, I had so desperate she would go after girls eventually in the pool," Naruto yelled as he held up a betting slip. This caused several clones and teachers to groan as they took out their own betting slips and tore them in half. "Screw you, Uzumaki!" Cleo yelled at this, obviously not happy with Naruto mocking her. "No thanks, don't want the clap, ha!" Naruto said before he started to laugh madly. "Joan, how could you? You lied to me." "Abe, try to understand Joan was saying before she was cut off. "Oh, I understand, you sold us all a bill of goods, which turned out to be bad. Then you sold me up the river," Abe said as he looked at Joan. Naruto watched the back and forth between his two friends, his eyes viciously twitching, ripping a piece of the bench with his bare hands as he contemplated smacking both his adopted sister and best friend in the face with it. "Oh, for the love of God, give me the ball, I'll do it," Naruto shouted as he stomped over to them before snatching the ball out of Scudworth's hands. He then tossed the ball from half-court straight through the net, catching the ball in his hands before turning around, throwing the ball with his back turned. The ball spun around, tittering near the end, causing everyone to look on with edge. Scudworth crossing his fingers while JFK but his fingernails through chattering teeth. The ball sank through the hoop again, getting silence from the gym. "Clonehigh beat the spread," the announcer yelled as everyone started to cheer. "I wore these bad boys at Burning Man 3 years in a row," Scudworth yelled as he held out a pair of dirty underwear to the coronel, whose face turned slightly green as Scudworth threw the pair of underwear at him. "Let's hear it for our hero," Alexander said as the team gathered around Naruto. "Oh, now you all like me. Just last week you all believed I would sabotage that, hey. Naruto was saying before Genghis lifted him up onto his shoulders. Naruto! 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 The students cheered as they started to celebrate them beating the spread. Put me down. We're still not even for you all thinking I would, screw it, Naruto was yelling before he sighed in defeat, figuring this was just another part of high school. Cafeteria. It was another normal day at Clonehigh, and Naruto and his group were all in the cafeteria eating lunch like always. So Abe, how is it going with the clone of the biggest skank? Joan asked Abe as she looked at her not-so-secret crush. Cleo is not a skank, we haven't even kissed yet, for crying out loud, Abe said as he shook his head at this. There is plenty of debate about if the original Cleopatra was a manipulative hoe bag. Hell, just ask Caesar, and I mean both the clone and the original, Naruto said with a grin as he jerked his thumb at a nearby table where the clone of Julius Caesar was sitting. What do you mean you haven't kissed her yet? What about that night at JFK's party where everyone was drinking non-alcoholic beer? Joan asked Abe, ignoring Naruto's words. What a hilarious night, Gandhi said with a smile as he ate his sandwich. Yeah, nothing better than a police chase and the quack having an aneurysm when he picks me up, Naruto said with a smile as he went back to his cup ramen. This is our first kiss as boyfriend and girlfriend, and Cleo needs it to be perfect, Abe said as he looked at Joan. But JFK used to just park his van dash, Joan was saying before she was cut off. Yeah, I heard, Abe said as he scowled and rested his chin in his hand. So did everyone in fifth-person English, girl's a screamer, Abe, Joan said as she looked at her best friend. Yup, girl, put the O in ho, Naruto said as he swallowed his ramen. She is not. Abe yelled as he looked at Naruto, clearly upset. Naruto raised an eyebrow at this before he reached into his pocket and pulled out what looked like a tape recorder and pushed the play button. Ah. Get it all the way through me, JFK. Bring your soldiers home. Cleo's voice on the recording. Abe was silent at this before he slammed his head on the cafeteria table. You are so immature, and why do you have that anyway? Joan said to Naruto as he put the recording away. What are you, a cop? Naruto asked curiously before he went back to his ramen. Whatever, anyway, Abe, forget Cleo. I mean, if two people are in love, the first kiss will just happen at the right moment, like this, Joan said as she leaned forward at Abe. Naruto raised an eyebrow at this along with Gandhi, but they both said nothing to this as they just watched this. Ha! Thanks, Joan, your fake infatuation bit never fails to amuse me. You should join a improv troupe. Well, I'm gonna go find Cleo, Abe said as he got up from the table and walked away from them. And that boy puts the E in ignorant, Naruto said as he shook his head at how clueless his friend was. Oh, like you're one to talk, Joan said as she sat back down in her seat with a look of annoyance. Oh, relax, sis, it's not like you were wrong with what you were saying, Naruto said as he crumpled up his empty ramen cup and threw it into a nearby trash can. I wasn't. Joan asked curiously as Naruto usually never gave his thoughts on this kind of thing. Nope, you're just obsessed with being subtle with a moron, so in a way you're the bigger moron, Naruto said with a smile. Ha! Do you think her and Abe's kids will qualify for financial aid? Gandhi asked as he laughed at this. Naruto burst out laughing at this along with Gandhi, not noticing Joan's look of rage on her face as she grabbed a lunch tray and raised it high above her head and clang! Clang! Joan then sighed in relief as she walked away from her table while holding her lunch tray, which had indents of Naruto and Gandhi's faces in it, leaving said clones at the table seeing stars as they laid at the table. Later in Scudworth's office. Meanwhile in Scudworth's office, said Principal and Mr. B were going over his latest plan. Once I implant these brainwave transmitters into the clones' brains, I will be able to taste AMD, smell everything they do. We will start with the as. Scudworth said as he held up an electric hacksaw while Mr. B started to wheel in some stretchers with bodies on them. I have John Adams, John Quincy Adams, Sam Adams, Abigail Dash, me B was saying as he pushed each knocked-out clone into the room before he was cut off. DMN, there's a lot of Adams. Now you know how I like to perform evil surgery Dash, Scudworth was saying before he too was cut off. High on cough syrup and painkillers. Naruto asked as he entered the office dragging a sack behind him, that was shaking lightly. I said I have a prescription, you brat. Scudworth yelled as he looked at Naruto. Hush, sure you do, hey. Stop struggling. You had this coming, but. Naruto said as he rolled his eyes at his adopted parent before he yelled and shook the bag he was dragging while holding up his guitar. Should I be concerned, Wesley? Mr. B asked as she looked at Naruto. Nah, I'm just killing some but skunk that was pulling some Looney Tune CRP on me, and I figured I would ask the quack if he knew a place to hide a body, Naruto said casually before he smashed his guitar on the bag, making a crunching sound and the bag to turn red. That's my boy. Not taking CRP from anyone, even from the animal kingdom. Scudworth said as he put his arm around Naruto's shoulders. Don't touch me. Oh, and if you touch anyone on my friend list with your dumb butt surgery, you're gonna get worse than this skunk, Naruto said with a flat tone of voice before he held up the bleeding bag for emphasis before dropping it and leaving the office. Mr. B, do you have a list of Naruto's friends? Scudworth asked as he slightly paled at FGJ's threat. The list fluctuates every couple of hours, sir, Mr. B said as he did keep a list for Scudworth of who Naruto considered friends. After careful consideration, I feel this plan is not conducive to my good health, Scudworth said as he threw his electric hacksaw away. Glad to hear that, sir, Mr. B said as he got to work cleaning up the bod of the skunk Naruto left in the office. A few days later. Naruto, Joan and Gandhi were making their way to Abe's place. Why are we doing this again? Naruto asked with a bored tone as they walked up the sidewalk. You know why, bro? Cleo left to be part of Ashley Angel's spring break show for the week and Abe wants to have a viewing party, Gandhi said with an excited grin. CEO is not gonna give Ashley Angel your demo tape, dude, Naruto said with a flat tone as he knew why his friend was excited. Abe asked us to come, it's a big deal for him, Joan said as they approached Abe's house. Yeah, cause he wants to make sure Cleo isn't gonna do some casting couch CRP, Naruto said as he snickered. You are such a butt, Joan said as they approached Abe's door, which she knocked on. Hey, you made the same bet as me in the school-wide pool too. Naruto said as he looked at Joan. Well, I'm not stupid. Hey Abe. Are we late? Joan was saying to Naruto before she quickly greeted Abe, who answered the door. It's about to start, come on in guys, Abe said with a smile as he led his friends inside his house. Please tell me you have snacks so this isn't a waste of my time, Naruto said as he looked around the living room while they all sat down in front of the TV before Joan showed a bowl of chips in his arms. I still can't believe the only way I can see my girlfriend is on TV, Abe said as he turned the TV on while ignoring Naruto. I know how you feel, man, Gandhi said as he frowned before he looked a framed picture of Michelle Gellar fondly. And you say I'm a butt, Naruto said as he looked up from his bowl of chips. Abe, be realistic, I bet Cleo has already hooked up with Ashley Angel, Joan said as she looked AF Abe. Wrong. Oh. We made a vow to stay faithful, no touching below the eyebrows, Abe said firmly. Abe, all celebrities completely hairless, they put the eyebrows on in editing to make sure the actors have the right facial expressions, Gandhi said with a chuckle at this. How the hell do you know this? Naruto asked, raising an eyebrow at this as he didn't know Gandhi knew. Well, anything. We will see who's laughing when Cleo is wearing my Letterman jacket on a cable TV show, Abe said with a firm tone as said show started on the TV. And showed Cleo at a beach dance party with Ashley Angel and clearly not wearing Abe's jacket, though she was wearing a new necklace of some kind. Man, I am gonna clean up on this bet, oof. Naruto said with a snicker before Joan kicked him in the shin. I can't believe this. She's not wearing my jacket. Abe yelled as the show started to play Gandhi's demo tape. I'm more surprised she actually gave Gandhi's demo tape to someone there, Joan said as she sighed. My money is on her not realizing what she gave them, Naruto said flatly. Don't be a hater, bro, just cause I'm now a big-time rapper, Gandhi said with a proud smile at the fact his demo got played. It was barely 5 words repeated ad nauseum, Naruto said with a scoff. I'm gonna call Cleo right now. Abe yelled as he waved over to his phone and started to dial a number. Abe. Did you see me on TV? Cleo answered after a few rings. I saw you, but you know what I didn't see? My Letterman jacket. And you know where I didn't see it? On you. Abe yelled into the phone. For shame. Naruto yelled out so he could be heard over the phone. Is that moron Uzumaki there? Tell him to mind his own DMN business. Cleo yelled out angrily, obviously not amused at Naruto's commentary. No, he's right on this one, Cleo. What do you have to say? Abe yelled into the phone. What are you talking about? Of course I was wearing your jacket, Cleo said before she started giggling along with another person. Who's there with you? Abe asked curiously. Just Ashley, stop tickling me. Stop. Cleo said before she laughed. You call him by his first name? Abe asked, surprised at this. Wow, she moves on fast, doesn't she? I knew she would go all Lindsay Lohan on us, Naruto said with a snicker while Gandhi snorted in laughter and Joan covered her mouth so she wouldn't laugh. You made a cuckold out of me. Send back my jacket, Cleo, I need to clean up my broken heart. Abe yelled into the phone before he ran out of the room crying as he dropped his phone. Joan quickly ran after Abe, a smile on her face at this opportunity. Abe, wait. Cleo said over the phone before the phone was picked up by. Hey Cleo, when you're not taking it from all sides, can you pick me up some maple syrup? Naruto asked with a grin on his face, making Gandhi burst out laughing. FUU psycho. Cleo yelled loudly over the phone. No thanks, I don't need a STD. Oh, and Ashley, I hope you have a good clinic down there, Naruto said as he smiled at the cell phone. You mother dash, Cleo was screaming over the phone before Naruto hung up the phone and he and Gandhi started to laugh hard together. The next day. It was the next day at school and Abe was walking to his locker with a depressed look on his face as he unlocked his locker. Hey bro, how are you holding up? Naruto asked as he approached Abe along with Joan and Gandhi. Let me die, Abe whined as he unlocked his locker. Still depressed about that hoe bag, eh? Naruto asked with a wince at his friend's words. How can you be so casual about my heart being ripped in half? Abe asked as he looked at his friend. Don't you remember my freshman yearbook quote? Naruto asked as he raised an eyebrow inquisitively. Oh, that was classic. Gandhi said with a laugh. Oh God help me, Joan said as she rolled her eyes at this. Love is like an onion. The more you peel away its layers the more it stinks. Naruto said with a proud smile. Abe groaned at this as he finally unlocked his locker and opened it, revealing Cleo scrunched up inside it smiling at him. Surprise, she yelled happily as she jumped out of the locker and hugged Abe, surprising him. Gah! Kill it! Naruto yelled, surpassed. He raised his guitar in the air before Joan smacked him in the back of the head. What are you doing here, Cleo? Abe asked with a frown as he pulled away from her. I wanted to see you and fix things with you and to show you this, Cleo said as she held up what looked like a necklace that was made of what looked like a miniature version of Abe's Letterman's jacket. Huh? Is that my? Abe asked as his eyes widened in surprise. Your jacket shrunk in Ashley's hot tub, so I had it made into this, which I wore while on the show, Cleo said with a smile. So you didn't cuckold me? Oh Cleo, I'm so sorry. Abe yelled happily as he hugged his girlfriend. As the couple reconciled, Joan watched this with a frown on her face as this was another missed chance for her. Hey bro, are you crying? Gandhi asked as he looked at Naruto, who had tears in his eyes as he watched Abe and Cleo. Abe chuckled at this as he turned to look at his friends. I guess even Naruto can be moved by a couple who love. Wait for it, Joan said with a flat tone of voice. I lost my bet. Naruto yelled as he fell to his knees and ripped his shirt off dramatically. Oh yeah, he made a big bet Cleo would cuckold me, Abe said before he sighed and shook his head at his friend as he banged his hands on the floor. The worst has happened. My luck has run out. My world is coming to an end. Naruto yelled out dramatically for everyone to hear. Before Joan and Gandhi both slapped him hard in the face. Thanks for not using my guitar, Naruto said as he calmed down. Ha! Take that, you idiot! Cleo yelled as she laughed at Naruto. Oh, go SCK a sandpaper PP. Naruto yelled out as he gave Cleo the bird. Cleo's face went red from anger at this before her and Naruto started to trade insults again while Abe tried to play peacemaker and Joan and Gandhi just watched. A few days later. It was another normal day at Clonehigh and Naruto was just getting to school and approaching his locker. As Naruto was approaching his locker he spotted Joan at her locker talking to Abe and Cleo and took note of how Joan was holding a can that Cleo had handed her with a condescending smile before holding up a ugly shirt. I'll can you good I will. Joan yelled at Cleo as she raised her arm ready to throw her can at Cleo after she said something to her that obviously made her upset. Girls please, you know how I feel about conflict, Abe said as he got in between Joan and Cleo. Yeah, if you're gonna throw down let me sell tickets first, I need to make up for that bet I lost. Oi. Watch it. Naruto said as he approached them before ducking as Joan threw her can at him missing and nailing a locker. Not in the mood for your brand of stupidity, Joan said as she glared at Naruto. Oh come on, what happened sis? Naruto said as he frowned at this as Joan usually let him make at least a few jokes before she went off, so in his mind something must be wrong. You don't know. Joan's house burned down last night, Abe said as he stayed in between Joan and Cleo. Naruto blinked at this before he frowned as he looked at Joan, who went back to her locker not looking at him. The whole school knows and you don't, good job being there for you so-called sister Uzumaki, Cleo said with a condescending scoff. Naruto's eyebrow twitched at this before he started to growl in anger. Abe, take your playmate and get her out of my sight before she gets hurt, he growled out as he cracked his knuckles a bit. Naruto, you know conflict isn't the way to dash, Abe was saying before. Now. Naruto shouted before he slugged a locker next to him, leaving a really big dent in it. Okay Cleo, let's get to class. Abe said with a bright smile as he quickly grabbed Cleo and dragged her away from Naruto. Naruto growled as he watched Abe quickly get Cleo out of his sight. Will you relax? You're gonna give yourself an aneurysm, Joan said as she closed her locker. Relax nothing. You know how I value my friends and I don't need that used-up inflatable doll calling that into question, Naruto said as he growled. Joan chuckled at this as she shook her head as she knew how much Naruto did care about his friends. Come on, let's get to class, she did as she led the way down the hallway. You gonna be okay? Naruto asked curiously as they both walked. I'll be fine, I'm sure Toots will figure something out, Joan said as she tried to stay positive. Naruto frowned at this as while he didn't distrust Joan's adopted father Toots, he was a bit unreliable considering he was blind and prone to not knowing what he was doing sometimes. The next day. It was after school and Naruto was making his way to Principal Scudworth's office, but he paused as he spotted what looked like a small robot dog standing at the corner of the hallway. Do you have your mission briefing? The leader of the shadowy board's voice that was coming from the robot dog asked, obviously over a radio. Yes sir, my goal is to spy on Cinnamon J. Scudworth and find out what he's planning and send the evidence to you before eliminating him, the robot dog said. Naruto's eyes widened at this before they narrowed as he grabbed his guitar off his back as he approached the robot dog from behind. Good, remember to be careful around the clone of Naruto Uzumaki e Saipo-Pooch, the leader said. Don't worry, that fool's scan grade may have failed, but I am a professional, sir. I won't be outdone by some cheap copy of a so-called sage, the robot dog was saying before. Smash! 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 Naruto smashed his guitar into the robot dog, repeatedly destroying him. Take that, piñata! Naruto yelled as he growled in anger at the robot dog insulting him. What's going on out there? Scudworth yelled as he came outside of his office along with Mr. B. Just taking out some trash, we need to talk, you quack. Naruto yelled as he approached his adopted father. Scudworth ignored this and looked at the remains of Saipo-Pooch before his eyes widened in realization. You little delinquent. You destroyed my gift from the board of shadowy figures. Mr. B smiled at this and made a mental note to buy Naruto something nice, seeing as he hated that robot dog. What did Saipo Pooch do to deserve such treatment? Scudworth yelled at Naruto as they all entered the principal's office. He looked at me funny, Naruto said with a bored tone, as there was no way he was gonna admit he had actually destroyed the robot dog cause he was assigned to kill Scudworth after finding proof he had his own plans for the clones. Scudworth growled at this, causing his face to turn red and slight purple from his anger. Sir, I do believe Naruto is just upset his friend Miss of Arm's house burned down, Mr. B said, deciding to try and help. Don't try to defend him, Mr. B. Besides, Miss of Arc should be fine now. I heard Miss Cleopatra's foster mother and Miss of Arm's foster father are dating now, so things should be fine now, Scudworth said as he yelled at his robot butter. Naruto blinked at this before he groaned at this and slapped his forehead. I gotta go, he said as he turned to leave the office. We're not done yet. What about my robo-companion? Scudworth yelled as he waved his arms as Naruto left the office. Mr. B growled in annoyance at this as he flipped over a shelf before crossing his arms. Later, Naruto parked his Vespa in front of Cleo's house, and as he was taking off his helmet, an explosion went off as Abe was sent flying out of the second-story window, causing him to crash onto a bush where JFK and Gandhi were hiding. Let me guess, Joan and the living blow-up doll aren't getting along? Naruto asked Abe as he approached his friend who was laying on top of JFK and Gandhi. Ha ha. Good one, Uzumaki. JFK yelled as he laughed before groaning as Abe was heavy despite being so skinny. What are you two doing here? Naruto asked JFK and Gandhi as he helped Abe to his feet. We're here to check on Joan, Gandhi said as he and JFK stood up. And the binoculars? Naruto asked as he pointed at the pair of binoculars both JFK and Gandhi had around their necks while raised his eyebrow at them. Well, there is a funny story about that, Gandhi said with a nervous chuckle as Naruto's hand grabbed the neck of his guitar. There is? I thought we were both fighting over there here prime spot to check out hot girl on girl action. JFK said as he pointed at the second-story window where both Joan and Cleo could be heard yelling and arguing. So this is how I die, Gandhi said with a sigh as Naruto raised his guitar over his head ready to pummel both him and JFK. Hold it. Abe yelled as he got in between Naruto and the two other teens. Move it or lose it, Abe. You know my policy on this CRP. Naruto yelled as he kept his guitar raised in the air. Yeah 30 whacks or until they submit, but come on, I'm sure we can come to a peaceful solution, Abe said as he kept himself in between Naruto and JFK and Gandhi. Submit? I thought Uzumaki was into broads. JFK asked curiously. This got a groan from Gandhi and Abe. Whole Naruto's face went red from his anger. I'm trying to save you, Abe was saying before Naruto grabbed him and shoved him out of the way. Okay, funny man, you want to make jokes? Let me show you a good one. Naruto bellowed as he slammed his guitar against a tree trunk next to him, easily splitting the tree and causing it to fall. Run away. Gandhi yelled as he quickly took off running at this show of strength. Wait for me, little man. JFK yelled as he took off after Gandhi. Naruto growled as he moved to follow after them but stopped as Abe grabbed his legs, hugging them. Don't do it. We have a bro code. Abe yelled up at Naruto as he held Naruto's legs. Naruto paused at this before he scowled at this. Fine, I won't beat the hell out of Gandhi, but I reserve the right to prank him and Kennedy later, he said as he holstered his guitar. Deal. Now let's go try and make peace between Joan and Cleo, Abe said before they heard a crash and more yelling coming from Joan and Cleo's room. Why? We could take bets on which one ends up in the hospital first, and I can make up for that bet I lost, Naruto said with a grin as he knew Joan would kill Cleo if given the chance. Just move, Abe said as he pointed at the door leading inside Cleo's house. Okay fine, but I swear if Cleo's Lohan-looking mom hits on me I'm burning this place down, Naruto said as he went inside. Abe sighed at this as he followed his friend inside. They both went upstairs and approached Cleo's bedroom door, Naruto pausing as he heard some yelling and crashing inside the room. I'll go first, Mr. Peacekeeper, Naruto said as he looked at his friend as he grabbed his guitar of his back. Is that really necessary? Abe asked as he and Naruto approached Cleo's door. You don't go into the jungle without a weapon, Abe, Naruto said as they entered Cleo's room, which had a horizontal line painted through it with the bottom being pink and the top blue. And inside the room Cleo was taking cover behind her overturned dresser while Joan was on top of a bunk bed throwing things at her, attempting to hit her. You missed, flat chest. Cleo yelled from behind as a book Joan threw missed her. I'm not the one who stuffs her br. Joan yelled out. Hello blackmail, Naruto said as he smiled evilly at this information. Cleo's eyes narrowed at this before she glared at Joan. You better have a good lawyer, you freak, she yelled as she broke off the leg of her dresser ready to attack the redhead goth. Bring it on. Joan yelled as she made a bring it motion with her hands. Enough. Both of you. All this fighting isn't gonna help anyone. You need to find a way to get along, seeing as your foster parents are now dating, Abe said as he got in between the two teen girls. As skin-crawling as that visual is, Naruto said with a shudder at the idea of Toots and Cleo's adopted mom together. Bro, you said you would help me. Abe yelled as he used his hands to keep the two mad teen girls apart. I'm not helping. Naruto asked as he raised an eyebrow at this. Naruto. Abe yelled as he felt his limit being reached. Okay, alright you two, this CRP ends now, Cleo, you're gonna at least treat Joan decent and Joan will do the same, Naruto said as he approached the two teen girls and gave them a firm look. What makes you think I'm Gamma, listen to you Uzumaki? Cleo asked as she glared at the blonde clone. How about the fact that if you don't, Joan will tell me all your secrets and I'll gladly sell them to the highest bidder at school? Naruto asked as he gave Cleo a look that said he wasn't playing. I want half the profits, Joan said with a grin as she liked this plan. Naruto, Abe said as he sighed at his friend blackmailing his girlfriend. Hey, it's her call, Abe, what's it gonna be, prom queen? Naruto said as he looked at Abe before he looked at Cleo. Cleo growled at this as she looked at Naruto and saw that he wasn't bluffing. Fine. I'll treat Joan decently as long as you both keep your mouths shut, she yelled. Wonderful. I'm glad we could reach a compromise, Abe said as he hugged Cleo and calmed her down. Glad to be doing business with you, later sis, call me later if the future welfare mother gives you any trouble, Naruto said with a nod before he looked at Joan as he went to exit the room. Joan nodded at this as she gave Cleo a smirk of victory at the fact that she at least now had something on her to force a truce at least. Cleo glared back at Joan while making a mental note to herself that this was over, not by a long shot. So alright folks, that's all for today. Stay tuned for part 3. Do subscribe, like and share for more such videos. Also check out the story and author FANFICTION on FANFICTIONnet. Press the bell icon to be notified first on release. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.